All right, hello everyone. This is Josh, also known as Yashu. You're just tuning into another episode of TLOY Talks. You can get this on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, much more. Check the Patreon. In any tiers that you see too, there's like a lot of like membership tiers, and you can get like exclusive content from there. So once you do that, like sign up for like one of those, you get like a dope tier, like exclusive content and like even more stuff too. But yeah, I'm just gonna get it like started right here and all that. So we have like one of the legendary videographers in the Toronto like music scene and all that too, in the videography scene, who's worked with the likes of like Mia Martina, Young Tory, Casper, Roni, Destiny, Greasy Dex, Raz Fresco, a shitload of artists like the late Sega, Skevia Steps too, and even other acts like Tower Lord and all that, Sum 400, and even I think like Riff Raff and Skepta too. So we have ApostolosFilms in the building. How are you doing today, man?
Good, brother. Good. No, always a blessing to be here. I'm happy to be here, bro.
Yeah, man. And I've been watching like the videos too for a bit too, and like I like the style that you have too, and like even like the connectivity that you have with you and like Screwface and all that too. And I was just seeing it, and it's like kind of like like with the whole, because you've also added like like the moving parts to like the 3D stuff too, like in the music video. So I think that was like kind of like one like thing that you did too, like back then, and then it kind of led to like other people like Orazio and like Jules like Lilo like doing it too, and then like even like connectivity, like being like like a videographer, like touring with like a lot of like different artists too, like with Riff Raff. I think Kofi as well too, like if I'm correct and all that. So
yeah, basically, yeah, with Kofi, it was more so for he was opening for A.R. Paisley, so we were doing some stuff with A.R. Paisley at the time. Yeah, even prior, we did some stuff with him prior, like in 2018, 2019, but. No, it was good. I think that was Paisley's first like soul. Like he's done shows in the city before, but I think they sold out Mod Club, and it was like that was a pretty big effing show. Yeah. So it was good. A lot of big names like opened up. A lot of and it was good seeing like a really dope artist from the city like actually getting the praise and like the people in attendance for that. So it was good.
And I mean, you've had like 2019 in your back too, 2019, 2020. I think like that was like definitely your year when it came to like the video stuff with like everything else too, because you got like placements on like No Jumper, Six Buzz, Worldstar, and all that too, and like we'll dive deep onto that more. And like we've been talking for like a minute now, like earlier this year too, and like just had to make this happen, So
oh hell yeah, I know. It's definitely you've been more on point with scheduling. My schedule, like I guess a lot of videographers could say the same. Like it's just been all over the place, and if you're doing a mixture of freelance and then actual like production based work in the industry, it can be a nightmare scheduling. But no, I've been watching, I've been waiting, so I'm glad that we're finally here together getting this done.
Yeah, exactly, man. And like I want to get it like started like from the very jump. So like growing up in like Vaughan, Mississauga, and Brampton, like which ends did you grow up at, and like what were they like? Growing up, would you say was it kind of blessed growing up in those areas?
It was, I mean, like, basically, I'm gonna be honest, Vaughan was like the home base. So I know a lot of people don't know that. I've been based in Vaughan, essentially. But throughout my life, like, I haven't lived there my whole life. So I used to live in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Michigan, Shanghai, China for a year. And basically, I never had, like, a true, like, Vaughan boy experience. Like, even during the whole Jersey Shore phase, like, all that. Like, I witnessed it. I played hockey there, but, like, I wasn't really involved in the community like that. But I think what was good about being, like, in that area is I kind of had time to kind of just think for myself and lone wolf, I guess, a lot of stuff, because I wasn't around a lot of like people in my area. All of my friends were in Toronto, and obviously when you're either taking the bus to go down, and that fucking takes like half a day to go from Vaughan to Toronto at that point, or you're just chilling at home connecting through the internet. So it was good. There were obviously like no complaints of like growing up in Vaughan. I know Vaughan has their own little hidden like mafia stuff around. So there's some families I walk by that I'm just like, or some houses I'm just like the caution tape all over, and I find out like awesome mob home break, and I'm just like, we have that happening here? Like I didn't know that. But no, it was interesting. It was good out there. And then obviously once I started doing more and more work, I was being like basically Brampton became my second home, and then Scarborough became like my third home, now second home as well.
Yeah, and like growing up in like Michigan and like China and like South Carolina too. I don't know if you had like family that like worked a lot in like those areas too, because like a lot of families, like they'll be in the army or like they have like a tech job where
more so tech. I guess tech. My dad worked in the automotive industry, so mainly Magna and Ricardo. So they would work like he was on Jay Leno's car garage. the movie Last Stand with Arnold Schwarzenegger. They personally delivered like the main villain's vehicle because it was supposed to be this high tech piece of I guess vehicle that could be I guess police can't find. I forget how that plot went, but his job made him like have to move around a lot. And even while we were comfortable in each area in Vaughan, whether it be Vaughan, Michigan, he was always China. He was always moving around, so he was always on the go, and that it's good because seeing him have that obviously that work hustle. He did a lot for me and like my family. So like obviously shout out to my dad, he, hard worker, and I also feel blessed because I got to look at life from a different lens at times. Like especially when you move to China. It's not like moving to a Western country. Like there's no middle class. It's either your company or the person's company is taking care of you every step of the way. You have your own driver. In our case, we were treated a life that was like, I thought I would never, I have only seen in movies. Like we have our own personal driver. We have this, we have that. It was dope. But then you look at the other side, because I'm also someone that likes to venture into like every community. Like I don't care like what happens. Like I know I'm good hearted, and I know like there's some stuff I have to look out for. And you could see the vast difference with the rich and poor gap. And when you see poor out in China poor, that's a different type of poor. Like that's some like third world poor. Like, I don't even know what to say it like, but it gives you appreciation for life, and it gives you appreciation for what you want to do and where you want to be. And on top of that, also wants you to become a better person. Obviously, I think we Reed is a prime example of someone out here that is exposing like that. I fuck with Reed for doing that, and it helps you like just I think become like a better person and just like take in for what's really going on in the world and just to count your blessings.
Okay, that's facts. And I mean, China, they have like a social credit system and all that too. So
thankfully when I went, they didn't have that yet. So like at the time I went, they only had Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, and like YouTube was banned. Even YouTube you could go on, but it was heavily censored. I had to get a VPN data from Hong Kong so I could, hop on the hub and fucking go talk to my friends. Dude.
That's facts, man. But like even like growing up in like Peel and York, like were they big for music at the time too? And like in terms of like the music scene, the creative scenes, and all that too, or was it just a community?
I think obviously Vaughan, there were a bunch of people in Vaughan that were doing their stuff, but because you're thankfully like close to Jane and Finch area, you're close to Brampton, you get to meet some very talented people. And at least like obviously shout out to my homie Nibs. He's doing like the parlay sports betting rap. But I wasn't around a lot of like the Jane area at the time, because in Vaughan, everybody was going about every region artist that was like popping at the time. Like you had Black of the Dawn, obviously Roni, you had even like guys like Banana Clip. Everybody was talking about their music. And then I would go to Brampton, and I didn't even know Peel had their own stuff going on. Like when I say stuff, I mean like even Mississauga. Like I didn't know Brampton rappers were going in that crazy. And I would even go as far and say like my first really like the rap videos I were first really shooting before I even got a chance to shoot like any of the Regent rappers were all like Brampton artists. But one guy in particular outside of Greasy Dex, because I connected with when I met Screwface in film school.
Okay.
But Brian G, a guy named Jay Chavos, those two guys I worked with a fair amount, and they were kind of putting me on more and more into the rap scene as I was like first like starting to shoot in and like seeing how different everybody's music was. And that was the other thing too. I was not connected with the hip hop scene in Toronto like that outside of like my friends playing a few tracks. I was more listening to like Gucci Mane. Like I was listening to obviously Chief Keef at the time, and Greek rap, a lot of Greek music I was listening to. So I was at the time when I first started doing music videos, I was trying to connect out in the homeland to see what I could, what was the better opportunity to show off my visuals.
Okay. And growing up, what were you like from the start to now? Because I know, like as you said, you like sort of like adventurous too, like checking out other areas too. Like, but like, have you ever had like other interests or like other traits that you had that kind of grew like in a sense?
Yeah, I originally, before I even wanted to do anything with a video camera, I wanted to go into acting and singing, because I was doing a lot of plays at school, and I always liked music. I always felt like writing my own like parody tracks. Like at the time, like Rucka Rucka Ali
Okay.
on was doing his thing. So obviously like you're a kid and you're just writing down whatever you thought was funny to a track. And I was told by my teachers I had a decent voice. I tried out for the Toronto choir and like
Okay.
made it through like rounds, but I wasn't part of it. But originally that was my plan. I was like, I'm gonna become like a musician, and if I can't do a musician, I like dressing up in like obviously costuming, Halloween, and all that. I think I could put on a good acting role. So, and I think that's weird because a lot of my music videos, if I can't find someone to play a specific part that no one wants to play, I'll play the part in my
Okay.
own music video because it allows me to kind of act at the same
Okay.
time and also have fun with it.
Okay.
But yeah, at the time it was mainly music.
Okay. And I know like you talked about like your favorite artists and like sounds you grew up like listening to
Mhm.
and all that. But do you have any like favorite like music videos that you kind of grew up like around that time that you watched and that you could say like that's your favorite, or like even like directors and all that?
Yeah, a lot of the directors, because a lot of people like to say like Quentin Tarantino and all that, but then I've grown up with a weird taste in films and music videos. So when I could say music videos, mainly Bam Margera from
Okay.
Jackass, he directed a lot of heavy metal music
Okay.
videos and a lot of like rap videos at times for like his friends, and they had this very low budget ruggedness that they were even though you could tell it was shot for like a few $100, they went out and they would shoot in like a roller skate arena, put on these costumes and make it seem like a crazy premise. And it was that plus watching like 1970s like Italian horror or gore grindhouse movies from the US. Everything that was like low budget and just took heart. Like those were what gravitated my
Okay.
interest more because it made me realize like you can easily tell a story or get a piece of visuals out without really needing much. As long as you have like heart and good people
Yeah.
surrounding you, you could get it done.
Yeah. I mean, like you'd have like the clean directors like Benny Room and all that, and like
Yeah.
Director X, like they would do their thing too. But then I think like I didn't really tap into like directors like more seriously until like Cole Bennett and like I think also the one that's like doing the OGM like artist too. So like I think
Yeah.
that was like also pretty dope too. And then you have like Louis Films and all that. You have like the Toronto ones like Macadelic, Reed
Yeah.
and all that. Also Screwface and like a lot of other people too. Like you're tapping and seeing their videos, and it is like very unique in a sense too. Like Tiana Taylor, she has her own clean edits as well too.
Hmm.
So you do definitely see like a difference in like styles and creativity, like when it comes to directing a video and all that.
And I like that there's a bunch of like everybody's obviously influenced their own styles. Like one thing I could say is and this goes with all the directors. I guess we all have our own like formula that we like to go for, and I like obviously Macadelics and Charlton and a few others fall on like the more cleaner side of the visuals in the sense of if you get a video from them, you know it's gonna look crisp as fuck. Then there are guys like Orazio, Jules. I'll even throw new wave visuals in there, and even Screwface and myself, we come from we know like how to shoot it clean, but we also know like stylistically, like we're listening to the track going, this is what this track needs. This doesn't. Some tracks sometimes have clean videos, sometimes they don't. Like obviously you add a bit of extra grain, you throw in
Yeah.
effects to make it as crazy as possible. But I think like yeah, everybody's kind of played off each other and kind of like we've all learned from each other. I'm not even
Yeah.
played off. We've all learned from each other. I could go as far and say like even for Charlton, I know Charlton had such a huge fucking wave like when he was doing the Young Tory videos. He was shooting everybody's camp at the time.
Yeah.
But every time I watched the Charlton video, my mind went to Zach Fax.
Yeah.
Zach Fax, he was doing the clean zoom ins with Tory Lane's videos.
Yeah.
He was always, even when he started shooting Nav and Party Next Door,
Yeah.
like you could tell like Zach, like Director X as well. I'm not gonna a lot of old directors out in the city I could go on for, but I know for our gen, one person everybody looks up to as like the godfather of this new modern Toronto wave of filming is Zach Fax.
Okay.
And I could throw in some not really unknown guys like Real Wolf Entertainment,
Okay.
Fatty Soprano. I know he's part of like a lot of people consider him part of the new gen, but he's been out here really like
Yeah.
hustling. Face Films, yeah, all of them.
Yeah, Marcus Les too, and then
Yep.
M Works as well too. Just to like even like dive into like how did you react to the whole interview thing that M Works did with like a lot of like the videographers and all that?
Obviously, like, I thought it was good. I'm happy that there's a like a platform, especially whether it's a director or a podcast, or you can actually bring all the directors together to really come together and talk. Obviously, like in my personal opinion, there could have been a lot more. And there's probably a lot more episodes he's going to try and do. He's probably people he's going to try and reach out to.
Yeah.
But I know there were some probably people he doesn't know about that have been in the scene for a long time that really deserve like their voice because like all I could do is obviously send out recommendations. My overall thoughts are just I'm glad that there's something like that being done.
Okay.
Because it hasn't been done yet. And you get different styles of creatives that came in there. You got dudes that have been shooting music videos for God knows how long with some dudes that have shot music videos for a little bit of time, but you know, obviously the tracks are blowing up and all that. And you got some OGs in there, like some OG directors in there. So it's good. It was good seeing like a good combination. You didn't see a lot of the same people that do the same thing. You got a lot of different minds coming in there, and it's a good look for the city.
Okay.
And just like one thing I could also say, because I could put Nemesis, M-Works, and Marcus Letts you brought up as well. They've been the young directors that have been showing like, hey, we do music videos, we do this, but they've been venturing out into the short film, feature film territory. And it's good seeing, because at the time you don't know if a director that's out here in the scene is out here in it for the bag so they can make a quick money and they just lightly know how to use the camera, or if they're an actual creative that is willing to expand their mind. Maybe there could be like a group collab, everybody, even if it's not like monetary, just for like creativity. It's nice seeing that there are still people in the scene that are able to just basically move forward past the music video director status and really show their chops in the narrative scene. So, and M-Works has been out here for a minute too. So I got to give M-Works his like obvious flowers. He's been out here fucking grinding, and he's been an inspiration for seeing, I guess, putting out a blueprint for the future directors and how they should promote themselves.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And you know, to even like dive deep, like, you know, very like earlier and all that. What was like your first moment like using a camera and like, you know, creating like videos and like photos and all that? Like, what was like that moment like?
Basically, I was trying to shoot my own music video. That was the irony. So I was always a fan of like movies. So I would always watch movies, be like, oh, I want to do this. But even as a kid, I knew like, for the type of person I am, like I need to like mature myself to a certain point where I could actually manage a production like that. So it didn't cross my mind, but again, always loved music. And this is gonna sound so fucking stupid, but I'm ready for it. You know Mini Pop Kids?
Yeah, I think so.
So when I was that young, they had auditions. So you had to send in a tape of yourself like performing a track. And so I recorded like one angle, then I went to the next angle, then went to next angle. And then at some point I completely forgot about the submission because I was too busy editing like my own music video. And then that led into like, you know, I had so many interests. I was skateboarding, I was watching Jackass, Viva La Bam. So then it went from trying to do that to then I'm in before high school, like grade 7 and 8, I was shooting a lot of skate videos in Vaughan. I was shooting like Jackass style like stunts and like just screwing around with my friends, just doing random skits of like, hey, let's make Rambo happen in our backyard. So then I started playing around with After Effects, and then it just kind of snowballed as I continued. And it wasn't until high school, I went to Greece and I brought my Canon T2i. I got that as a gift as my grade 8 graduation. And by a random person that I met through mutual associates, they needed a music video done. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's get it. And that's when roughly around grade 9 and 10, I shot my first music video and edited it. And it took 4 months to complete. It was my first time doing green screen. I didn't know what the hell a camera crane was. And I'm being given a camera crane on set to put my little camera, my little $800 camera on. So it was interesting. But that's how it all kind of came to be.
Okay. And was that something like that led to your like form in videography as like a career? And was there like any inspiration on like even like doing this and like taking it seriously and all that?
Yeah, it definitely made me take it more seriously, especially because I was in a that first video I actually ended up shooting. It was a huge confidence boost. At the time, it was very rare on YouTube to even get like 500,000 views was considered viral on YouTube back at that point. So I shot a music video for a Greek artist and it touched 50,000 views. Okay. So for me, as someone in grade 10, I was losing my shit. I'm famous. That's what I was thinking in my head at the time. But it then went to, as I was watching more horror movies, getting involved in the film community, I was in forums talking to other directors who are now releasing feature films that I've watched them grow from them being in college when I was in like elementary school and high school to now they're at TIFF. They're traveling across to Japan, the UK to show off their horror movies, and they're making money from it. So I knew after shooting the music video, I'm like, this is 100% what I want to do. Visual video media is like where I'm going to be, like where I know I'm going to make my success. I didn't know at the time. I was thinking more so the horror film community. And I thought I'll shoot a few music videos here and there, but it wouldn't be like too crazy.
Okay.
And then like as obviously my love for music continued and I kept meeting with so many like-minded people and I kept getting recommended to shoot certain people, I started shooting more and more music videos.
Oh, that's nice, man. And even like with the backstory, like behind your name and all that too, like Dimitri, like the Shooter, ApostolosFilms, like that's like based off your actual name, right?
Yeah, so the Shooters is a whole separate entity that with Screwface and I that we did when we were in film school. So yeah, ApostolosFilms. I couldn't think of a film name for the life of me, and I just thought honestly, like if I do a feature film, ApostolosFilms, I would just want my name in films because if you, I know like I want to differentiate. You're gonna see Jerry Bruckheimer producing a movie. You're gonna see Quentin Tarantino.
Okay.
I just want people to see even on my director's credit, directed by ApostolosFilms because I want people to know, like, hey, if you're going to watch this isn't going to be your cookie cutter, like, movie. This isn't going to be something that's trying to be something different. This is, like, what I would want to see in a movie.
Okay.
This is what I would do. But, yeah, it was very simple with that. But the Shooters, at the time, no one had that name. And I know now they have Aze Productions, the guy that did Chief Keef. He has his Four Shooters brand, which kind of, like, fucking pissed me off that we didn't we didn't do any trademarking for that 100%. But we came up with it because we were shooting a lot of rap videos at the time. And everybody kept saying like, like, 'cause it was like a joke, like, yo, I have shooters. Like in one artist, I forget who we were on set with 100%, but he said to his guys, like, oh, don't play with me. I got my shooters behind me. And he was pointing to fucking nerd me, holding a camera and not paying attention. And my homie who's posed up, just like it was like below behind the scenes vlog. So then we were talking and we thought whenever we do like a serious rap video or like a rap or a trap rap video, we should go as the Shooters because we thought it would kind of like outside of like you could see directed by Dimitri, directed by Screwface Films or ApostolosFilms. And like we wanted something that would be more catchy to the tongue. And then a few videos that we released on Worldstar, we were going by the Shooters. And then we saw other people going by the Shooters and we were like, oh, okay, we should maybe hop on and grab this. But one thing is at the time we were doing so much without really 100% of a plan that we didn't trademark it. We were just like, we just kind of liked that it became a thing.
Okay.
At least amongst like us and like our people, like it felt like a thing. Cause when other people from the States started calling themselves the Shooters like 2 years or 3 years after us. And at this point, we've done a few videos that have touched a few M's that have gone on different platforms. We thought, oh, like, are people trying to like use our thing for theirs? But we also knew like it's a free world. We're not claiming everybody's a shooter. So then that became a new thing of like, hey, the Shooters isn't just us now. Like everybody can become a shooter.
Okay.
We might try to turn that into a brand still, like for camera operators, because we have a specific vision for that type of brand. But we've kind of slowed down on the whole Shooters thing. Only because now like our main focus has been narrative work. But Screwface and I have came back for a couple projects that we haven't really discussed, like rap, hip hop videos.
Okay.
But those are going to come out like within the next couple of years because they're like very hidden. Hidden projects
facts too. And I mean, like I know some people too, like they'll have like their own like merch, like logos and all that too. So was that something that you ever like thought about, like while like you were like branded as like the Shooters and all that with you and Screwface?
Yeah, we originally wanted we thought of some good T-shirts. Like the one that we thought about that was like obviously the easiest one is like a scope with maybe like a camera like this like in the frame or something like that. I thought of something more like childlike in the sense of like when you go into an office and they give you that sticker to write your name and then it says my name is, well, we would just basically have that shirt but have it say Shooter's name is, or stickers that would actually say that. We weren't like that was the thing, like we had so many like loose ideas, but a lot of the ideas that we talked about for that brand, the Shooters, I guess was like still mixing in our ApostolosFilms and Screwface film identity. Like Screwface, he's like I think he's more on the branding than I am, which is something I've been lacking in, especially because like he has like Screwface sweaters, he has custom jacket by a dude named Prescribed Shelter who does a lot of custom clothing and did a fucking fantastic job on everything he's touched. But me, I've been very like I have a hat. I have
Okay.
a sweater that my fiance like had to make me because I didn't have my own branding,
Yeah.
and I noticed that my whole thing was, as I was doing music videos as Apostolos Films, as that brand, even as we were doing it as the shooters, I was still like focused on my Apostolos Films branding for my movies that I wanted to eventually do and figuring that all out mentally. So
Yeah.
there was a lot happening. So
Yeah.
I know personally for me, I my mind towards that was just all over the place. But definitely Screwface was like bringing in the brain, saying like we have to like kind of tackle it this way
Yeah.
if we were going to
Exactly.
do any form of branding.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's maybe coming soon.
Yeah.
We're still in the talks of it. But one thing that we both like to do is make sure we're 100% ready before we want to have the money. We want to have the people that we know are going to make it. We want to have the designs all done before we even like go, this is happening.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
Yeah.
Because like when I first thought about like doing like the whole like Lens of Yashu like logo and all that too, it was like, you know, like the original logo with the camera and all that. I didn't really think about that until like the middle of the pandemic and all that too, because before I was just doing like photos like here and there too, and then when the pandemic hit, wasn't really doing as much too. So I was like thinking of like rebranding, doing whatever it takes to, and then it became simple with like, you know, with some of the first like videos that I've had, some first photos, and like, you know, just kind of worked out, and like, you know, realized time over time, you know, it kind of depends on your situation too. So when I changed to like this like new logo that you see right now with the TLOY Talks, even with friggin' like the actual like logo too. So basically, I wasn't doing like as much like photos and videos as much anymore, aside from being in like the podcast studio too. So it's like all about like figuring out like what is like the best time, like when is like the best time to like rebrand and all that, and like figure out like what you could like play with in that sense too. So
Exactly. And that's the next thing, because like I personally liked your main logo that you had with like the camera and all
yeah,
that, and even this like you've definitely made like you've kept a theme for yourself. Like even like the green palettes and the color palettes as well have been like it's nice seeing it feels
yeah,
very fresh and all
yeah.
that.
Yeah, man, likewise. And, you know, to even speak more about your role, like in the film and like the wedding industries too. So, how was it like, you know, even being a part of those two? And was it something that helped hone your skills as like a director, videographer, and like give like a different insight to like creativity and all that?
Basically open mind, having an open mind, it plays like I think a key role in communicating. Like I know that like because I've been doing, like I said, a lot of different media formats, and a lot of people like tend to look at that as, oh, you're not specializing in one thing, you're just trying to grasp at like weddings, music videos, film, but they all obviously play a role outside of the video, the camera itself and the editing. I always feel like they each help me with my own thing. Like music video helps me being creative on a very low budget, and it allows me to get out full premises and ideas, full storylines. Even if we know we can't do it 100%, we at least know what can we do to stretch that budget to make it look as clean as possible, with it being fast paced. And weddings as well. Obviously weddings help money wise, especially nowadays for video work. The market's oversaturated with music video directors, wedding directors and all that. But it allows me to kind of practice my cinematic skills, because for weddings, you want to make that look like a fairy tale, even if it's just from the shot naturally itself. The bride and groom already spent money to make the hall, make the ceremony, obviously the church, make a temple, whatever, make it look like the way it is. So all the spectacle is already done. I just need to make sure that I can capture the spectacle the way it should be captured. And I think that will help me in the near future when I'm able to set up my own spectacle for a movie, and I could just come in being like,
Yeah.
this is exactly what I know it needs.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And keeping it, like I said, open mind. If you keep an open mind and you know, like, hey, I don't mind if I got to shoot these different things, even corporate, dressing up in a suit, putting a camera on a tripod and just having it record, like every type of like, it's weird. It's weird in the sense that every type of video media format has their own stuff that could kind of help you in those other formats in itself. Like now I could say my more recent music videos have been a lot more cleaner, like in terms of shots. And I've been very focused on keeping the subject looking as perfect as I possibly can, even if it's like not possible on a run and gun situation.
Because like, you know, like even for like weddings too, because you have to have like a team to work with you, like a drone operator, you gotta have a second camera person, you gotta have like two photographers, like a main one and then a lead, and then a main videographer too. So, and it's like capturing like whatever like moment that you can, like getting that ring, getting that kiss, you know, the wedding cake, the flower toss and all that too. So it's like finding out the different moments and how to analyze it, kind of like, you know, like a football strategy and all that, where, you know, you have your players there, but it's like in weddings, it's like, all right, where can we place you so that we can get like that right moment, that right angle in that sense too. So,
oh, exactly. And that's where I guess like I also humble myself, because where did lead a lot of projects back, like when it came to music videos or even just short films, like when I was entering other fields like real estate and weddings, I kind of just took a step back and I let other people take the lead, and I just learned and just brought my whatever knowledge I thought could help. I brought it in, but when it came to actually like on set, I'm not gonna act like I'm the one running the show here. It's my first. It was like at the time of doing those, it was like my first time, so I just held back, knew what I needed to get, got it, and then like I would learn it throughout the process, even if it means like it took half a year or a year to fully understand. And also while I'm doing that on my own side, I'm jotting down notes of how to be like how to find redundancies for audio and lighting and for camera, like running out on batteries. Also writing out a full plan on where I think the best angle should always be like always shot. So when I do a wedding and I know I'm bringing like a camera operator that may have never shot weddings before, I just send him a 2-page PDF file telling him like if he has his own camera, he sends me his camera. I'll look up the specs and tell him, hey, here's how we're going to match our cameras. Here's how we're going to manage like lighting situations if my camera's better for lighting or if it isn't. And then pretty much letting him know like, hey, like we're not going to expect like you to do anything too crazy, but we know this is something you can do and like completely execute 100%. So it allows me to help like the next people. And if I could help out the next videographer as well, while simultaneously as well learning for myself, I think it helps put more people on, and it helps create a new like scene of genuine like videographers that are in it because they love the visual media.
Yeah, it's facts, man. And to dive deep into like your first like major video, like how did you like approach it, and like what was like that process like from like starting from scratch until like the project was like complete?
So honestly, when it comes to music videos, sadly, it's always going to be hell throughout the process. Like you'll sometimes be given a project, because a lot of the projects that we've been given have been run and gun, and a lot of the bigger projects we've been hired as a third party. But I'll bring up this one very specific, like for example, Riff Raff and Skepta. We were brought on by a third party, a director named Brown Guy. He posted that another director was looking for someone to drive Riff Raff to shoot. So originally I was only supposed to drive Riff Raff down. So I drove Riff Raff down. They needed a drone operator, lights for green screen, and a stabilizer. I thought I should bring it, so I put it in my vehicle. And next thing I know, I'm on the set actually working on the video. And sometimes it's as quick as that, but that was like a very big production, but I didn't have the hands in it. The one that I handled, which was out of my, I guess out of the country, we had a video shoot in Seattle. And the artist hit us up. We didn't know really how much to charge. So we charged like maybe like 5,000 Canadian. That was including like our hotel and all that. And we had this big idea of almost like Star Trek, with the joke amongst me and some of my friends are like, oh, Captain Kirk really wanted to bang that alien, like the chick that was all green. So he had a song called PAE, and it was about like a chick that he like wanted to vibe and spend the time with. But the way it introed was kind of like an alien. It was like a bunch of security guards being like, whoa, there's like a portal. Let's go through the portal. Like there was this whole intro. And I was given and with my fiance, her and I just flew out. So she was dealing with lighting, set decoration, and actually creating the aliens themselves. And obviously we're not from Seattle. So we were asking the artists and them to help us find models and actors. And they didn't barely knew what they were looking for. So we had to go and pretty much be like everything. We had to be location scouts for a country that we'd never visit, not country, state we never visited. And we had to find actresses and people that had to fit their budget. So it was to me, that was the nightmare portion of it, plus the editing, because we were showing like, hey, we're going to have a spaceship battle in the beginning. We're going to have ships flying throughout. We're going to have these portal sequences. And I think people don't understand that a lot of what we see from the effects nowadays, not Orazio specifically or Jules, are all templated. They're already pre-made that we just click and drag into the video and just track it and maybe color it a bit to make it seem like it's in there, but no one's actually creating it from scratch like that. Again, Orazio, I could tell when they actually create from scratch. Jules, Orazio, they create theirs from scratch. I know New Wave does some 3D, but also mixes it. There's no right or wrong with it, but for this project, we wanted it to be full 3D. I wanted everything to be my custom creation. And it took long to do that. And on top of that, we had 2 other videos that we shot that were more simple that we had to deliver within a certain time frame. So we had 3 months to deliver 3 videos, one of which had no visual effects. The other one had effects. And then there's this one that like the 3D effects, which was basically a whole production in itself. And It was fun. I'll say this. The shooting portion of it, being with everybody on set, and it was one of the rare few times where we gave a full premise based off the budget that we have, and people went, yes, we're doing that. We didn't really have any pushback.
Okay.
It was our creativity. And it was fun. It was
Yeah.
it was a very fun, positive day. Even editing the video, despite how challenging it was with the back and forths and really trying to meet their deadline, I it's a product that I like. I will show people like that video, even though it only has like 500 views. I always think of that as like a big, like not a big budget, but a good budget. We came at a crazy idea that we actually managed to execute fully. And personally, I show people this video. It's only 2 years old, and they think like fuck man, like that, like that's some crazy, like they think it's a $10,000 video, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's very micro budget.
And as like even like as far as like the approaches and all that too, do you have like certain creative approaches like when you're working on that aside from the 3D stuff? And
Yeah.
like what would like a day in the life be like, you know, like when shooting a music video or just like even doing like some film and all that?
So basically, I'll do music videos and then film, like short films and all that. So for a music video, I always try to like, if it's an artist that I like, I always let them just take a free reign. You tell me what vibe you want to match for what song, and I'll try and match that vibe. So obviously, like they'll send me a song before any deposit or any talk or like about dates is given. I tell them, send me the song so I can at least know if this is one for me. Because I've done videos where I did not like the song. I told the artist I did not like the song, but they still wanted to shoot it. And I did my process, and it turned out what it turned out. Like I think the visual's good. Obviously, my thoughts on the audio are still the same, but I'm happy that we were actually able to work with it. And in the case for music videos, they would send the song, I would listen to it. I write down normally 3 or 5 ideas, general summaries, and I'll send that to the artist maybe the next day and tell him, which one do you want me to expand on the most? He'll send me which one he wants me to expand on, even if it's not the one I really wanted them to choose. I'll expand on that one and then also remind them that I have more of a vibe with this other idea I wrote. So I also want to keep that in our pocket in case like this one doesn't turn out. And then from there on, we discuss like how realistic is this to shoot? Like what budget are they willing to spend? How much are they willing to spend? Because that also plays a huge part on, well, what can and can't we do? And then I'll let that kind of just form itself. Me and my fiance or my Screwface Films, we'll all hop on a call and we'll just discuss ideas for the project and then type it all out. Once they give the stamp of approval, it's basically like we go online and start locking in everything we can for that day. And then same with film. For film, I toy with a bunch of different ideas, but I think like I like to think my ADHD plays a part of just kicking out ideas because I'm like an idea machine at times. So I just think whatever sticks in my head, if I pop out an idea for a film and it sticks in my head continuously for the next week or two, even without me having to write it down, I know I should pursue that at some point because my mind understands that I know how to work this into what I want it to be. And if I get the monetary funds or like the right people beside me and I could get that out there, it will do wonders. Okay. And it's I guess that's like a bit of cockiness at the same time because before I did a lot of this film stuff, I was doing a lot of YouTuber stuff with online. So I saw with YouTubers like how the social media online market went and how to grasp people's attention. So pretty much just kind of went forwards like towards that area of planning, like take it more on an internet type of route in terms of releasing, because if I'm able to kind of pump out a product that's not fast, but has a good timeline and then also have all the ideas formed within a good time frame as well, like normally like even though it's streamlined to be sped up, for some reason the execution is exactly how I want it to be. But always that's always the thing. And I always say a bit of herbal courage as well.
Yeah.
Smoke a lot of weed, so like especially if I'm vibing with the track, the first thing I'll do is roll a joint, listen to it on my phone, listen to it on some speakers to see if I missed anything. And then once I'm obviously a bit sedated, I'll just start typing. Even if it's like a 4-page treatment, I'll type.
Facts, man. Like I know, like for me, like when I first started like trying to shoot like music videos too, like with the radio artist that I had. So basically, I started off with like storyboard first, like figure out like the song too, figure out like some ideas, like some shoots here and there too. And like we actually went to his place in Scarborough actually, and basically, you know, we had like the like recording set up too. Like he had this like guy doing the engineering and all that too, and then we shot it within different areas, had like still photos, and then the like it was like time to get like the specific like lead female like model for a bit too, and it was like figuring out like what might be the best type too, like sending like some good pics, like figuring out with the artist too. and sometimes it'd work out. And then when you reach out to people too and like tell them about the music video, like the premise and all that too, like some have like different charges, like depending on situations. If it's like lingerie, it's like
Yeah.
120, 140, but if it's like normal like clothes and all that, it's like 60. So for the girl we had, it was like normal clothes, like regular like love story music video. So we only paid like 60 for the hour too, and like
Exactly.
did it within specific spots, you know, just find like the idea too. And then it did work out for a bit too. And like we did have a connection with the model then, and then, you know, it was supposed to be released at like some point too. And then the, like, as I said too, like the artist like had like some cold feet too. And when just didn't, like, sometimes too, it's like kind of like a regret, like not having a music video to release and all that, even though you've like put some time onto it, you know. So
Oh, I know, and that sometimes that could be like I'm one of the rare few that actually gets a bit bitter about that.
Yeah.
But that's also more common in the music video scene than not even just music video, just in the film industry too. There are so many projects that have been filmed and then shelved. That's never going to see the lights of day, despite the millions spent on it.
yeah.
And one thing I guess that I'm still trying to like grasp is like letting the artist do what they want. Obviously, it's their product and all that. And there are times where, like, for example, like one video, that was a really big video that we shot even for that artist when it came out at the time. It got removed on social media because the producer and the artist aren't working together and they've both gone their separate musical routes. But, you know, at the same time, we're looking at that as like, that's still a piece that like of your work that's at like a few million. And it's not like these guys have a lot of million. It's not like they're getting tens of millions of views right now. So to us, it was like, unless you're trying to like wipe your old record, it was like it benefits you to have that up and us, because obviously that's a big video for us. And then for you guys, like even if you rebrand, it still shows you have that virality or whatever it's called, to kind of like, you're able to garner an audience and you have proof that you've done it before. Which one thing I like to tell people, like what we learned from labels is most labels know artists like when they've had their videos out. So if an artist has their video out and it touched even in Toronto 500K legitimately, or even 200K, I'll even go as low as 200K, they're watching you. They're watching you, and they want to see that type of stuff up. So that's why, like, to me, it's like, I understand when people shelve projects. Sometimes I get a bit bitter though.
No, that's facts, man. And, you know, to dive deep on like the artists that you've worked with, you worked with like Mia Martina, you know, Stereo, Love, Latin Moon, you know, Young Tory, Casperoni, Destiny, Tory Lanez's younger sister, Greasy Dex, Raz, Fresco, shout out to Raz, and like, you know, Some 400, and like much more and all that. So how was it like, you know, working with those artists and like establishing like a relationship with them when it comes to like directing and all that?
Yeah, so basically, it's crazy. So it all comes from like the freelancing that I've done, because even though I was always as like ApostolosFilms and all that, I worked under different companies as well as like a main camera operator and editor. So there's this one company I worked for, which was the one that the Riff Raff and Skepta shoot happened. I captured films. Then the owner was Dan Barker. There's another camera operator, Darren, and they had another editor named Lucas. And around the time, Darren and Lucas kind of went off and did their own thing. And Dan, I guess, liked my energy from the Riff Raff shoot and the following projects after. So with us doing all those videos, he would lock in, like, because Fatty Soprano for Mia Martina, Fatty Soprano shot the video for that. I don't know what happened I don't know what happened with their version of it, but Mia Martina went with us with only a $350 budget for everybody. And said, we can get you the locations, we just need the crew. And we said, well, you know what, we'll take a hit on the budget because we also know what type of artist this is. And that's when we did a Sooner or Later. That was the video that we worked on. And that was like a huge team effort, because everybody was building sets. Everyone kind of had their input on the video and direction. Everybody had their, even me, like me and Screwface and Dan, we were at Mia Martina's apartment for 3 days straight editing the video because they had a release date they had to hit. And then that brought us to professional video studios to watch the video get color graded. And, you know, it's always a blessing working with some of these people. I would say for us, obviously the more local artists, like when you, like the Raz Frescos, that was all Screwface, for example. Screwface got that connection, brought me on board. Same with Hoodrich Pablo One. A lot of the time I'm not really prepared for those shoots because we get called last minute. Like it would be like maybe the day of or the day before, and it's usually on a day where we're not doing anything, and we get told like, "Yo, like don't tell anybody, but so and so is going to be in the city in about 3 hours. We need camera operators. Are you guys available?" And then that's how we ended up shooting certain people. Or my friend Screwface like for Hood Rich Pablo 1, we were shooting a different artist already. We had a music video for him already shot from 2 days before Hood Rich came. But then we found out the day he was landing that, oh, he's buying like 3 features from him and wants to shoot 3 videos in a day. So we pretty much bolted to the airport, blocked off Pearson Airport until Hood Rich came out, and then immediately started shooting. And then it's all weird. It all kind of just like intertwines with each other because, like I said, all of my high school was listening to region artists. I reached out to Roni, and then we started working, doing some videos here and there, like Dear Smith and Wesson, Get Back. And then that led to working with people will obviously watch his videos, so they would reach out to me, and then I would be working with some like local artists, and like not even on like a popular Toronto level, but people that only get a few hundred views. And then that would lead to like someone like Raz Fresco, like with Screwface. Like we were working so much, shooting a lot of people together, a lot of local people. And we were just realizing Deuce as well, from the older generation, the newer one, Adam Bomb, like a lot of MCs too. Like we were kind of everywhere in the scene because we were really just enjoying like the creativity, and just, it was our first time we realized like, hey, our camera's actually like getting us the notoriety. Exactly. We're showing people we can actually do the work and get shit done, and kind of bring in the new wave. Because at the time that we started doing all of that, clean visuals, Charlton was doing like Young Tory's Water video, Friends video, but we were on the effects packs. We were, I like to argue with people that we were one of the first few to actually start that whole wave of effects that we see now, that we see a lot of people doing. That we were the ones that kind of took that first step forward, with a bunch of other directors that are like, we're all like-minded talking about it, but we didn't give a fuck. Like someone wanted a clean visual, but we knew like, hey, like the cleanliness for this type of track. Like if someone makes a track that should be played during a gruesome scene of Saw, I'm not going to be like, this deserves a beautiful glow behind you and all. I'm be like, no, this deserves like a dark room, red light, green light, saws and shit in the background. Like I want it to look scary. I want it to look like what it's supposed to sound and look like.
That's fine.
And I think that became a huge theme now, even during when 6ix9ine came out. His music, you can't see a clean visual with that. You got the rugged New York blood, like whatever image he was trying to put out, but it worked. And that's the one thing we're trying to tell artists, like you can get certain visuals done. We're not even expecting people to work with us for those visuals, but like switch it up. Know when the track deserves to have that type of treatment, because we at that time we felt like a lot of the videos, like a lot of cities' videos were looking the same, like, and not from the one director, but just because like cleanliness, everybody wanted the whole super slow motion Aze production Chicago vibe. And then when Stabilizer started becoming more popular, people saw Zach Fax videos, started doing like those zoom ins and zoom outs that we see a lot in Charlton and Reed's videos. And I'm not, again, none of us claim ownership to these effects. No one created this. The best I could say that we did was like influence, in the sense of we kind of showed people, hey, you can do this and it's okay. Yeah. And I think we take a lot of pride in that, because there are a lot of videos, even for example, A.R. Paisley. A lot of A.R. Paisley's videos are super clean. If they have effects, they're super clean. And when we did Fuck Rap and Kostya, which was like, I think like his bigger videos at the time, because of like the internet, like YouTube, like reactors that did gaming videos had his music in the background from Mexico, and it blew the video up. But Fuck Rap is a polar opposite of every A.R. Paisley video. Like but I don't knock him for that, because his videos are clean as fuck, and I fuck with his videos. Yeah, exactly. Like Charlton does his thing. Tango, who's a good bro to us, and obviously works with Paisley's team. He does a great job directing, and basically we could see why like those videos like aren't either up like how they were, or it was good for that time, but now like no one's gonna continue that unless it's to the level that Orazio and Jules are doing it. Yeah. And I bring those two up on a higher caliber in terms of the grittiness and the effects, is because now with modern equipment at the time, and when I say modern, I'm talking about the difference between 2018 and 2020. Because in 2018, like you could do some 3D effects and make it look good, but it would take time. Now we see people mixing in AI and 3D, and they're creating whole different worlds now. And it's crazy, because like it's hard. It's fun to see, because it gets me excited, But then I look at this new generation and I'm just like, these guys are going to be making feature films with like $0 just because of what the fuck they know from online, which is exciting.
Yeah, because I know Kendrick, he did the whole, like, I think Hard Part 6, where he had like different like faces of like different notable people like Will Smith, Kobe Bryant, Nipsey Hussle and all that too. And I felt like that was like something that AI might have done and all that too, because, you know, generating like faces, like generating like skin structures and like tones and all that. It's interesting too to see it from a different perspective too. And then like even with certain stuff too, like because like they'll have like certain clips of like old memories, and then they'll do like the little like burning effect too, like smoke burn effect, but the smoke burn effect too. And like I think it is like kind of like interesting as well too. I mean, I don't know if you've seen like Californication, like by Red Hot like Chili Peppers and all that too. So they were like using different like panned out moments where it was like from a bird's perspective of like what they were like seeing and all that, and like totally different experience too. And like I'd say like that was like one of my favorite music videos, like creatively, you know, like just with how that vision is and all that, you know?
No, I agree. No, that video, there's too many videos out there that like take that level of creativity and just I don't even know. There like that video you brought up is a specific example of like I could watch that video so many times, break it down, like knowing how the effects are, but it's like how did they even initially get to that thought to like do it like this? Like like I think another person's video that I could think of that had that wow factor to me of like, oh, this might be the best video that has ever came out, and I don't think people know this. It was Belly had this video that was just one long shot coming out of a room, but it was like 3D sculptures of what he was saying was exploding. But the one long shot was him going from one very rich room to another, but the camera just kept moving this one like it's weird. It's weird, but I love it.
Was that Money Go Belly and like Travis Scott or something like that? Or?
I don't know if I don't think Travis Scott was in it. I think it might have been like a solo Belly record. Okay. I could be wrong. Hopefully someone can correct me in the comments. Okay. But I remember I remember watching this one video and just being like, holy fuck, like that's crazy. Yeah. My issue now though is back in the day, and that is where I think Screwface kind of played a part. In that I used to watch a lot more music videos back in between 2014 and 2018 than I do now. Now because of like the whole like route I'm trying to take, I've just been taking in like more feature films and short films because I've done my over a decade of music video work, and it's fun and all that. But obviously like the main reason why I wanted to hop into this was like the feature films. So I now as of recent just been watching all these new low budget movies, seeing what they can do.
Yeah, that's facts, man. Have you ever like worked with like an artist that was like kind of like hard to work with, or that you kind of like regret like working with in a sense?
Yeah. There's a fair amount, and it's from a broad range of like genuine like they were just not treating us right from the beginning. So one artist, for example, wanted us to do everything. They wanted us to create their YouTube account. They want us to upload the videos, but they didn't communicate that with us. So we did the first 2 videos, and we would have the videos done in under a week. And that's a fucking good timeline, especially when we were charging at the time. We were only charging $450. And this artist kept fucking getting at us. And it was like, and I would be on vacation, everything would be done. He'd be yelling at me on the phone like, my YouTube channel's taken down. You need to upload me a new one when you get this up. And I'm like, that's not my problem. That's genuinely not my problem. And then finally we created this YouTube account, and then he said that he wanted to upload everything and that it's okay, we don't have to handle it. So we sent him the password and everything to the channel, the video, which was unlisted on there. And then he didn't download even the actual video that we sent. So there was an issue of that he lost his email and access to his email, so he couldn't release the video. He didn't download the video before it expired a month from the download date. So a year or 2 later, he hits us up out of the blue, being like, "Where's my video? You guys are scamming me." And we were telling him like, "Well, first off, we've delivered the video to you. We created your YouTube channel, which we gave you the password and everything for, and uploaded the video. Like, how much more do you want us to do? Like, and you're not even paying us to do all this extra shit." So there's that type. You get some petty clients like that. You get some clients that don't understand how long true visual effects take. Yeah. And they want like a lot done, even though they're not giving us that budget. Yeah. Like we're shooting now I would say 2019, we're shooting id videos for $800. People want to see swords flying. People want to see shit exploding in the background, but they don't want it to look like the next man's video. Yeah. And I'm telling them like, well, we can't have, for us to do that, like this one explosion is going to take 6 days to do because we have to do a bunch of different simulations. and export to make sure it works. And then there's that. And then there's the situations where we tell artists that hey, like if you're gonna be riding with us, like if we're driving you to set, we need to know what you need, what you have on you in case any fuckery happens. Because obviously we're shooting like a mixture of different genres. So if I'm shooting like a rap video and I know like we're gonna be going to certain areas and for some reason this guy has to be in my vehicle or like or someone, I have to tell him like, yeah, like, you know, like let me know beforehand so I know how to move appropriately at that time, in the sense of, okay, if you have weed on you and a cop pulls us over, even if I can't reach the weed, they're going to be like, okay, but the weed is within arm's reach. It has to be in the trunk. So I would tell the artist, put your weed in the trunk, like clear as day. But we've had some situations where artists got us in a lot of trouble with the law. And it was very like, it was disappointing to see how the aftermath and all that became, especially when people don't really like to claim their own like stuff. They like to kind of push it on other people so they don't fucking get in trouble. But it is what it is, and it's just looking out for that, looking out who are the characters, and some people put on a good face. So we've met some people, and especially in the music industry, it's all a game. Like it's really, there's no proper formula to do stuff, and it's a lot of backstabbing, fake friendships, even amongst like the video community as well. A lot of people like to play friend, and I could tell like the real between how people actually feel about each other, because there are some directors that are that are not as outspoken. There's some directors that are and really talk about the shit that goes on behind the scenes, and where everybody's in groups. We all know the beefs between certain directors and all that. So it's one of those where you find genuine people amongst all the snakes in the grass, but with finding those people, it allows you to be more comfortable and informed, because you can have whatever the fuck happens to you, but if you got good people beside you, you know, it does wonders, especially depending on the situation.
I know what you mean, man. And, you know, a couple of the artists that you worked with actually had passed away too. Sega, he used to be a part of like Killy's group and all that, and like Skeevy's Tips, who I've had a good relationship. So how did you manage to work with those two? And how is it like, you know, working with them, directing their videos, and like finding out that they passed away, you know?
It was I can only go from like in regards to Sega, I didn't have a long time with bro, or I really only met him for like 2 or 3 days. I had proper contact with him, but my friend Screwface knows Sega's camp a bit more, and Sega reached out saying he wanted to shoot a video for a it's like a sorry for buffering freestyle, SFFB, and it was just, you know, hey, let's go out, let's shoot, let's do some crazy effects and have that be the video, because the song was only 1 minute and 30 seconds long. But he was a really good dude. Like, you know, you could tell I've only knew of Sega from seeing him with Killy, seeing him tour with Killy, being on stage, and I think there was a video that he did with Orazio beforehand as well. And I was like, yeah, this dude, like, he's a good dude. Like, I like him. All through and through, my experience with Sega was unfortunate to hear that he passed, because he was like, even after when we released the video, like we would message each other here and there, but it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like quick checkups, you know. But you could tell the way he treated us was genuine. His people that were with him were very genuine as well, and it was very nice to be part of that project. And then now with Skeevius, when I first really started shooting videos in the city, outside of the artist from Brampton, I would say he was the first one that I was with consistently. It's hard because we had a lot of goals that we had in mind. And even though I'm outspoken, I'm also very introverted. And he was the one that told me, like, you got to speak more, man. Same with my homie Screwface, who kind of amplified that message more. But Skeevius was all about, like, do what you love and go at it 100%. He had so much love for hip hop. And I was there seeing him. Like, there's a lot that I saw, and I've known him for over a decade, or knew of him for over a decade. So I'm from outside, so everybody's usually clicked up. I kind of had to find people, or people found me, and then we all kind of went together. So when Skeevius and I met up, nonstop we were shooting, and then I got introduced to his friend Scott Hellman, who got signed to Warner, and he started doing his own thing. And it was weird because my first trip to LA was with Skeevius for Team Backpack. We had barely had any money. My parents kind of put up some funds for the hotel. We paid for our own flights. We paid for everything else. And I could just tell he's gone through so much in his life. And it was such like a pure moment of him. Like, he was so happy to be in LA. Like we walked around Compton at 2 a.m. scrawny white boy and then nerdy director holding onto the bag, to his camera bag, trying to look for a Carl's Jr. at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
We just ate edibles. It was like my rare few times smoking weed. So I was just, and it was a good high. It was like, we were very happy to be there and seeing like, and I guess this leads into a lot of artists in Toronto that deserve more notoriety than what they got, because he was in almost every Mercury show, every Snack the Ripper show, every Rock Pile show that I've ever fucking recorded. He was the opening artist. He did songs with some good dudes from like Palmer Squares. I always just feel like that's such a story. Like even just to turn his life into a movie, which I've been talking with his dad and a very close friend of his, Meyer Clarity, and we released some of his last videos that we shot. And I remember one time telling my homie like, "Hey, I know I don't have much. I know I'm not there yet, but when I get a red cam, the first day I get the red cam, I'm calling you and we're shooting a video." And what's sad is two things that I found kind of sad was the second time I ever went to LA was the day I found out he passed away. So I was there with my fiance's family, and I already knew about his cancer for a bit of time. What we found out 3 days prior was that the doctors told him his treatment's actually going well, but he also did mention how late into the game they found it. So you didn't know. And, seeing how he looked prior to then, like the final photo he posted, it was I couldn't even make the funeral. I was still, it was so bad. But obviously, a lot of us that were close to him, kind of like, we're now trying to make his legacy worth it. So he has albums worth of music still in the vault that I've been Meyer's been talking with his dad. His dad and I want to make a documentary series based off not just him, but also bringing in like Toronto artists that have actually like been through like the shit that he's been through, that have love for the music, love for the genre. They've been doing everything right by the book, but for some reason they're not getting that like viral moment or the fan base that they deserved.
Yeah.
And it was sad to see. And I guess another unfortunate artist as well that I had the pleasure of talking with for years on end, but then his actually ended up a bit more gruesome than I kind of hoped. There's a rapper named GME EBE Bands or EBE Bands. He was like the white boy in Chicago that was like a black disciple, like, and that's rare to find. That's like finding a unicorn. And he was in the streets heavy, but he released some fucking bangers, dude, that were just like, and when an artist is releasing music, but they can't tell that they actually have a way out from the street shit. And like, again, I don't know anything. Like, I'm not going to claim like I know shit about the streets or about gangs or about all that. A lot of my research I've been doing as of the last 6 years, that's majority of my information. But I could tell when someone's in a bad position and they can do something to get them out of that. So he was about to get signed to Trade of Truth. I was messaging this dude because he was doing a lot of work in Michigan with Michigan artists trying to get away from Chicago. And he sent me music, like we were talking together. And he said he was going to go to LA to do some stuff with Trade of Truth and then come back, and then we would finally start shooting videos. I also knew he was on parole. So at some point, he wasn't responding to messages. And rumors were circulating after 2 weeks that, he's on the run because he broke his probation. I was like, okay, maybe. And then I remember like 2 weeks later, like his manager, Big C, messaged me and was like, bro, like he's dead. And then we were like, oh shit, what happened? Found out that they hit him with a bat, set his body on fire, tried to dump it. And it was some cartel shit. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, that's some next shit. Like, but like, that was like another, like, there are certain artists that either I've worked with or wanted to work with. And I guess like losing like friends, like Skeevious was a big part because I've known him. But even seeing like young lives really like losing, whether it's from natural causes or from gang or cartel, it's always sad. And you always want to see people, even if they're in a position, one thing I always say is there's obviously psychopaths that live out there, but then there are just good people that are just dealt with life rough or put in a position where they feel like that's the only way to get shit done, or literally that's the only way to get shit done in their circumstance. That's the only way they're able to provide or do shit. So I'm never not one to knock people for like their position in life and like what's been happening. But if I see a genuine person under that, and I know like they're good, like I'm at least try and do my part. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be like the their manhandler or their sitter, but at least some good people need good people. Some people need good people beside them to really like become like what they want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I had like some stories like that like a while back too when I was like younger. When I actually used to go to church, I used to be like in Sunday school where like there were like these like two kids that I didn't even know like later on that they were gonna become like rappers and all that too. So basically they were both from like Malvern and all that, and like basically they were doing their thing too. And the last time I did connect with them was like back in church when I was like 9, 10 and all that. And then several years like later down the line, like one person gets killed like in an apartment, like doing laundry with this like girl like in Scarborough. And then 4 years later, his brother died in like a garage and all that. They're like twin, like fraternal twin brothers and all that. And like I think you may know them, like in a sense to Lil Mel and Buck and all that. So basically, they died in like the weirdest ways too, and like it was also gang affiliated too because it was like from another area like that. The person that killed him and all that. And it was like surprising to see too. Like I only went to one of the funerals, but like you felt like the sadness and the tone had changed, like everything and all that, and like you could only have like the last moments like when they were at peace and all that too, because they were also cool guys and all that, you know. So
that's the part that sucks, man. Like, you know, this leads into a bigger topic about the city that I think needs to be discussed, at least on the gang side of stuff. Like, one thing I hate, and I know this has nothing to do with video stuff, like, the fake friends between artists. Like, I again, same thing. I worked with Pressa, and I know of Smoke Dog's camp, obviously, and they were both on tour with Drake. But even to see like the blatant dissing, and obviously like there's shit that goes deep within their sets and like the dissing and all that, but it's almost like you like in the sense of Pressa and some of the other guys that are still out there doing this shit. And I guess this can also lead into top 5 coming out as well. It's obviously the whole clout online thing. You know, you gotta shock value to get the money, and then if you do enough shocking shit, maybe you make enough money to actually leave the city and actually be able to properly raise a family. But it's like, I'm gonna be honest, most Toronto artists, even Pressa, a lot of people think Pressa made it. It's cool. He's chilling with 50. You don't see him doing major moves like that. Like you see him chilling with major people. You see him behind the scenes. You see him in the US, but you can even tell the US audience doesn't fuck with him. So it's like, at a certain point, when do you know like when it's too much? Because let's be real, as much as these guys can diss and all that, if nothing happens with their career and they come back to the city, people still hold grudges until they're fucking 40 or 50. I'm hearing of shootings between gang sets, between the OGs still, that are getting caught, beaten up and all that or whatever. So it's like, to me, it's like you're at a position now where you have the chance to actually unite the city, even if you can't properly unite them, like how they said Doovie and Drake and Pressa would hop on a track. It's like you could at least do enough outside of people from your own crew, even people from sets that you don't fuck with, not like they're off, but you maybe just don't give a shit about. You help people out a bit, maybe like make it more proper unified, because then people will look at the name and no matter what be like, well, no, what, at least he tried to bring people together.
Yeah, exactly.
And instead of, you know, being brought together by a different entity like Drake, doing the whole fake friend love shit and then dissing. Same with YG. And I have no problem with YG, but why the fuck are you dissing Pressa and Top G, calling Top 5's brother like who passed away like some shit, and saying you're smoking his brother, and then being friends with him doing tracks about Smoke Dog, who your own brethren was caught fucking giving his flowers to. It's like there's so much weirdo shit in the city that even as a videographer, for someone that's not involved in any of this shit, it's, to my mind, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're actually making us look worse. And a lot of people, like the guys that are like Sega and Skeevious, who if they were put in that position, it would have been maybe like a rap battle type shit, but it wouldn't have gone beyond like what the fuck they were doing. And maybe the city would be looked at a bit more differently and a bit more like respected, because the shit that I've been seeing the last bit, it's been disappointing. Especially, it's not shit that we would have seen when we were at our peak with Houdini, when we were at our peak with certain artists. Like, and maybe they would have laughed. Maybe they know their bros obviously better than I do, but it's one of those where it's just horrible. Like, I don't like to see where shit's been going, which I also like why I've been transitioning out, because that's the music scene as a whole. You got producers acting the same way. You got videographers that work together, that low-key shit talk each other to everybody else. You got people that they're just doing too much, and it's just like, it's crazy. It's just crazy.
And like that leads to like another topic on like working with like international like artists and all that. So how was it like, you know, like working internationally in terms of like shooting videos in like different countries, working for like international artists, and like working with like different cultures, like, you know, Punjabi,
Yeah.
Armenian, and Greek? Would you say it was like a different experience than like working with like local artists in a sense?
Yeah, yeah. Every culture obviously has their own flavor in business. Like the Punjabi artists, I would say, are the more put together artists. Like you could see them; they have their crews, they have their producers. If they want someone to bring out a vehicle that they don't have access to, they got 5 people that know someone that could do it, and they're all really they all really put their heart and soul into each video. Like obviously there's been a huge rise in Punjabi or even Indian artists in Canada that have just been fucking killing it. And I've worked with a lot of these guys, and honestly, like I've never had a bad experience with them. Like pay wise, shoot, the respect factor, like it's all been there. So there's that. I would say, because obviously I know Greek's a bit better because I am Greek. Greeks have been the more interesting ones to work with. I've especially because I'm so deep within the Greek music scene in Toronto and out there in Greece that I could tell they don't have a very put together, the Balkans in general, because even Armenians, they're not in the Balkans, they're still part of like the Eurasian type of culture, but same thing, no problem with the Armenians I've worked with, but I could see the Balkans. When I worked with Albanian artists, I went to Bulgaria, shot for Bulgarian artists because they're all part of that Balkans, and they're all ran by independent studios. So imagine if, let's say, I'm trying to think of a big studio out here, like 365 Studios, like top 5 presses manager decided to run his label, but he actually had like Sad Boy as an artist signed to their label, or Lil Yachty signed to their label. So they have these big artists that make millions on their own, but they're signed to this label, but the label isn't following like what Universal or Warner wants them to follow. It's whatever the fuck they want. So a lot of the times when it comes to Greek artists, I'm dealing with either the super professional, old school, they're doing traditional folk Greek music, or they're at that level of fame in rap or hip hop where they want to do business accordingly, because $2,000 here is like obviously a month's rent. $2,000 out there is almost like half a year's rent.
Okay.
And even that's for like a 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom. So I would go out there and do some stuff, but one bad incident, which is also a funnier incident, there's this record label and this very big Greek rapper that signed to this record label named Fly Low. He did an American tour. I reached out on behalf of some like Greek artists out here who I was collaborating with, because I asked them, hey, if there's one artist you would like for me to get in reach with out of these 6 guys I know, who would it be? They told me this artist, Fly Low. I reach out to his management. They say $1,500 for a song and video. We send that. It takes a year for them to deliver. And I was hitting them up like every 2 months, like, yo, what the fuck's going on? They finally delivered the song. We find out he's going on tour, like a US tour. So then we're called to do the tour with him. So the day before the actual show day in New York, our flights and hotels were booked. We go to New York. We shoot the show. We have the music video to shoot with homie, and he's only there for 10 minutes. His management told us we have an hour. He tells us 10. Now we only have 10 minutes to get his shots. We got the shots that we needed, which was good, because at least we got him rapping his part in the video. For the video, we can make it work. But there's a lot of back and forths and lies. So the Greek industry is, how much do they fuck with you? All right, if you brought them to Toronto and treated them like royalty, they're going to throw you a bone if you want a big Greek artist out there. Even they probably won't even charge you for that. But if you're someone that gets a few thousand views, they're going to expect you to pay the full price that they asked for. And then we were being asked to pay more and again, this didn't come out of my own pocket, it came out of the artist's pocket. But because I'm the middleman, I'm also the one having to tell them, like, you guys have to pay more. Or, hey, this promotion has to be done the way they want it. And if you fuck up, they're going to burn all bridges with you. So essentially that's what happened. We everything went perfect. The video, when it came to video release, the manager said, we want to put this on our record label because we think this is actually a very good track. And on top of that, we want to release it 2 months later. But because we already paid for the feature pretty much 2 years ago at that point, we were kind of like, the artists were kind of like, fuck that. Like, it's done. Let's release it. Like, what are we doing? Especially because while he was on tour and this was being said, he was doing features with other Toronto artists and other American artists. So his like kind of like, oh, that exclusive feature shit is now no longer, because everybody else is now promoting, hey, we have a track coming with this same artist. The only difference is they didn't obviously have music videos, and they released it, and then the management got very upset because he said, hey, we had a whole marketing thing behind this that we wanted to do. And then they basically told him to go fuck off. And the artist told him to go fuck off. Obviously, I'm in the middle. I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. But you know, there you find a bunch of
Yeah.
different characters in the end.
Yeah, no, that's facts, man.
Yeah.
And even with like major artists like not crediting like videographers, like directors, like I think one situation was like the Mia Martia one because I didn't really see like the credits like on there. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like when it comes to specific like videos and such?
So it's stuff that you find more with the bigger artists, and even then you're not even dealing with the artists themselves, because I could go into Riff Raff and Pressa, well, and Pressa's video that we did as well when we were with Captured Films. So with Riff Raff, when we did the Riff Raff and Skepta video, Riff Raff just wanted the Captured Films logo, kind of like what you saw at the end of Mio Martinez, and Dan Barker actually fought to get everybody's credit, even as tiny as like a production assistant to just tape the ground or some shit, because that video Back from the Dead was a $16,000 production. Dan and his team and I came in like a last minute help, but they had the whole pre-production of this horror themed music video, getting the house and all of this shit. I would have fought for that too, because so many people put their hands to make this low, like even 16,000 is big budget to people like me, but to people like Director X, like Zach Fax, that's nothing. That's not even like a proper budget. Even when you look on how much music video budgets are standard, 20,000 is the standard, and that's for minimum micro. They call that a micro budget out there. Okay. So imagine people like us getting paid 500 to 1,000. So there's a lot of times where you gotta, for those bigger artists, you gotta pull teeth, and most of the time, you're not even dealing with the artists themselves. In the case of Mia Martina and Pressa, it was both the same. It was their management that put up Captured Films, or we only want 2 credits. So for Mia Martinez, we were dealing with so much shit. And at the time for that, I think they wanted a whole title or credit sequence that we couldn't get done in time for their release date. So we just threw up the logo to kind of like finish it off. But we had so much proof of like us being on set shooting and even us working with her and her team that I didn't even care about a credit, because in the end, like, people saw my stories, they knew what was up, and I have all the receipts to show that I was the main camera operator and main video editor for that project. For Press's Maserati video, again, this leads into Toronto artists a bit, into that topic. Some people just don't like following through. I have my own issues, not with Pressa, with his management, with being owed money and having proper credits as well. And pretty much, like, for example, we did Maserati, the director's name and my name was on the video and credits, not the cameraman, Darren, who helped shoot that. My Screwface Films, not a lot of people know this, for that video for Press's Maserati, we had a 4-day delivery date to green screen everything, create 3D environments, and give it like a vintage feel. So as I was doing the proper green screening, Screwface was pulling up buildings, clips of vehicles that I can manipulate into 3D models, and was just getting me all the materials I needed to actually make that video happen. And then the video comes out a year and a half later. So why the fuck were we even rushed? Like, that's how it feels some of the time. But even to get credits for that, it was like they didn't even want to put the director's credit.
Exactly.
And they weren't even trying to pay us. We got payment for that 5 months after the edit was done. And it was a weird situation of, we didn't know if the video was even going to come out. And then when they said, "Oh, we're going to drop it tomorrow," it was like 2020 or 2019, but we had this video done since 2016 or 2017. So we were just kind of like, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, release it. Like, at that point. And then they said, "Oh, no credits." And I just told the director straight up that if they don't have my credits, they're not releasing the video, because I haven't received payment at that point. And on top of that, who are you to say that we can't put credits in when everybody worked their ass off to meet your deadline that was beyond unrealistic? And on top of that, melted my hard drive, because you have a computer on for 4 days straight doing effects, not like a proper PC tower, like a laptop, that's going to destroy the laptop, especially like, and that's what happened. The next day after we delivered it, went to go start on the next project, and I had this blue screen just fucking kiss me right on the face, and I had to replace the whole laptop.
Oh, wow.
And specifically, they said the drive was burnt. Like, usually a drive is clear when you look at it. Yeah. It was brown when they looked at it. And they said, you must have overworked it or had it in a climate that was just too hot. And I was just like, no, I edited a music video for 4 days straight. That's what happened.
Oh, that's crazy, man. And like, even in some situations like that too, do you ever feel like there's like a crap in the bucket mentality, like when it comes to like Toronto? Like, I know you talked about fake friendships, like everything else too, but do you ever feel like it's like kind of like stands out by its name, like Screwface Capital and all that?
Oh yeah. And thankfully my homie Screwface, I have to give I have to really show support to like my bro, because that is like, He's my brother. Like, not my literal brother, but if I could say someone's almost like my literal brother outside my actual older brother, it's Screwface, because he's the one that kind of introduced to me that this is not that type of city where, like, because I could be naive at some points, and even like he kind of put me on a straight line because he's a fan of the city. He knows so many people that also like rap, that he was shooting a lot of behind the scenes vlogs, music videos and stuff for them. That when he saw how I was approaching it, he had to kind of get like check me a bit and be like, you can't be all buddy with everybody, because either people are going to try to use you or people are going to mistake that as some next shit. And I had to kind of learn how to come at certain shit a certain way. And it's still stuff I'm learning. Like, but there's a lot of it. There's a lot of bullshit that I see that, like, and it's not my place to call out certain people. I only call out shit that pertains to me. But like I said, I'll say it. Videographers shit talk each other. Some videographers think that they're the top shit and that they deserve every budget that comes their way. But there's a lot of dudes that haven't even like put their time in like that. And when I say put their time, it's not like everybody has to put their time. But if you've been doing video work for a year, your budget, whatever. Who's to say you should charge the next dude $2,000 when you don't even have a portfolio that really shows your full extent? Like, you can't do that, but there are people that will try to do that. Or you'll have people that get a bunch of videographers in a group chat and say, hey, some of you guys are charging too low. It's kind of fucking everybody's bag up. So how about we all agree to this price, and then everybody follows it. And then that same videographer that says that will then go to those artists and be like, oh, I'll do your video for $300 or $350. Yeah. And that's a big thing we see a lot. And again, main thing I'll call out is, a lot of the artists or videographers that we see shoot big artists, they don't charge them the rates that they charge the little guys, like the people up and coming. Like, and it's a tactic. It's a tactic everybody uses for business, where if someone like, I'm going to choose a different example because I'm not going to, if someone like fucking Tory Lanez contacted me to shoot a video, I know he's going to get me what I need to make that. If I need a fucking Casa Loma, he'll probably find a way to get Casa Loma for me. If I know he'll come through on that department. But then I'm not going to look at him and be like, oh, but my quote's $4,000. I'm probably going to be like, get me what I need and pay me some gas money and pay the crew, and I'll be fine. And that's where like my director mind comes in, because like I want that opportunity to, now's my chance to show my shit. But those are like super rare opportunities where sometimes you'll get someone that you should be charging what you normally charge people, but they know that, hey, I'll be more consistent with this guy, and if I only charge him like a quarter of my price, and it's no problem, because in the end, he's such a decent enough artist that artists below him will now reach you. Exactly. And then maybe if 5 people you go and say, I want $3,000, 2 of them will give you that 3,000 out of the 5. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like there should be some changes on the direction of where like the creativity scene and like just even like the music scene of like Toronto should go to and all that?
Yeah. I can only give my opinion. I can't comment on the actual music production side outside of like the producers that I know that they would have a better chance of vocalizing their side of it. I know for the directing side, while also reminding myself that the artist is still one person. They don't have a team. They're probably paying money to 8 different people to get different shit done for that one thing. And even me giving them a discount might help. Like even if it's like a few $100, like I know that I can make comments for the video scene, what to switch up. Yeah. Which my main thing is be different from everybody. It's okay if some videos come out looking the same, but there's only so many times I could see money fucking spin around somebody. I've already seen it done great by fucking Orzio and Jules. I've seen it done horribly by other people that I don't feel the need to shit on them because I don't know their position of how long they've done effects and all that. Yeah. But all I could say is be true to what you're doing, because there are people up there that actually do this in the industry that will call you out, and that will, when you need that chance of showing that, hey, I could work on a production, they're going to look at you and go, but you claim to be a 3D professional, but you're downloading pre-made assets that are already pre-texturized, pre-colored. All you got to do is literally just bring it in and just change the shadow, and that's it. And you're telling people that you do professional 3D. That's when I have an issue, because it's like, no offense, like I see a lot of people that know basic stuff about, like, there are lots of cameras that shoot 8K, but you got to know which one's for social media and which one's for film. There's someone that has like a $600 8K camera, and they're claiming I shoot 8K video productions. It's like, you technically do, but you don't at the same time. So you're not dealing with actual film camera hardware. Even that middle prosumer line of like $5,000 Canon cameras that now shoot 8K, those are still more cinematic than those other ones. But then it's like, are you utilizing it to its full potential, or are you just saying that so people could get you more money? Because let's be real, unless you're watching it on fucking 8 big ass screens, no one's going to notice that 8K. All it's going to do is retain a bit of extra quality for when you release it online. And especially if you're exporting for YouTube and it's uploading for YouTube, it's not even proper 4K resolution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so it's like, what are you doing with that extra resolution? And I would use it for VFX. If I wanted to multiply someone or do masking, that's where it's most beneficial. Or if you have a very wide shot and you want to zoom in and retain the quality. But I see a lot of liars out there.
Yeah.
And I even have like a script kind of based on my personal experiences working with scammer videographers, working and seeing them operate amongst good community, called professional liars. Because some of these dudes, they'll lie, but then you see them shooting certain events, you see them with certain people or shooting certain artists that are big. So you lie to the point where now people are up and coming thinking you're the professional, but then a lot of people on the sidelines are seeing what it actually is. And that's a majority of the Toronto scene. Probably out of a list of 20 directors, and even if, let's say, MWorks does 3 more podcasts and brings another set of 8 to 10 directors, at some point in those episodes, maybe as soon as the second episode, I will be able to catch the one that wasn't really there to become a director. He just got clout off it, got some money, and he's just hustling now. Which again, hustle is hustle. As long as you're doing it good, I don't give a shit. Don't lie to people saying you're trying to be in it 100% for videography. And that's my main issue, because then you're making the rest of us that some went to film school, some that are trying to actually still get their foot in the ground because of how oversaturated it is. Like, they're having issues. I know genuine dudes that know what they're doing that are having issues because of these guys.
Yeah, I could actually relate. So there was like a guy who works for like OVO and all that. So basically, he was like the lead director for a music video for a guy that I was like doing like this vlog stuff with and all that. So basically, we went to like different locations too. Had the idea for it. We had like another guy that also was the director for it. Shout out to like Dawson, by the way, too.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened is that we shot the video, like I did the vlogging, they did the camera work and all that. So he was like the main camera guy, and then like basically what happened like later on too. So basically it was supposed to be released soon and all that. So basically the director, like the artist, and like myself, we were like wondering for it, and then basically I didn't get to hear from the artist at first hand that the guy who was like from OVO that like did the video stuff too deleted the whole footage, like lost the footage like like an idiot and all that too. And then basically like he kind of fucked over like the artist like in that sense too. But like that guy that did the whole like OVO stuff is like still doing like stuff for Drake, gets followed by Drake and all that too. And it is like surprising too, because like the guy, like the artist wasn't like a big artist too, but like he was on the rise of becoming a big artist too. He just got fucked over by someone that kind also played around with it.
I was gonna say, because I've had a situation where I've had hard drives crash on me even while editing videos, and that also leads to how he handled it. Did he give the artist back his money and like say, hey, let's do a free reshoot a different day and get it actually done again? Or
because I think like the director was like handling this thing too, and then I think the cameraman that the director brought, I think, because that was like on the director's part where he had to recompensate to help that specific artist too, and they still have a good relationship too. Like he does like photo work and all that. I think the first camera guy, like we never really heard from him again.
Yeah,
he's just doing this like thing with like OVO and all that too. Like not, it's pretty obvious too, but like it is like kind of crazy sometimes too, like on how we put like all this hard work in for like what we can make for a vision, and then like one person can like screw it up for the rest and all that.
Yeah, it sucks. It definitely does suck. And even being on the line of having to tell the artist, like, I don't know how to tell you, but the last 8 hours and your $800 that you spent is now gone. Unless we pay it like maybe $5,000 to bring it to some place where they can recover as much as they can. But usually at that point, I just give them their money back and I tell them, let's reshoot it if they're willing to reshoot that same video with me again. And just like, which has happened. Like there's twice where I've had hard drives crash. I gave the artist back their money and I said, tell me next free date. I'll pay for everything again out of my own pocket and we'll just reshoot it. And thankfully, the artists actually appreciated that and took that. Like and the videos became better because we went back on what we did wrong the first day, not revolving the driver. Maybe there were some shots that we thought we didn't have enough time to get that now because we were just redoing the exact same shots. We're like, okay, now we kind of know how to kind of manage our time a bit better.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I think it's all about how you handle it in the end. And I don't blame a lot of artists out here in the city because you have genuine videographers that have scammed artists and people. Like Yellow Tapes have scammed people. There was a videographer back in the day, Rose 4K. He did some videos, and then in the Durham scene, he started scamming people and just taking their money and running off with it. Like I've heard multiple stories from multiple different camera guys that have done that, and like you don't hear from them now. Like Yellow Tapes was popping a couple years ago. I did work for him. Evil Eye did a lot of work for him, and all of us were being hired as third parties to shoot and edit, us not realizing that this dude that's actually running the company is traveling across the states in Dubai, just living his life, communicating, and he's also the one going to the bigger events. So if there's like a photo shoot with 50 Cent and they need someone shot, or with Rowdy Rebel, he'll go down his personal self so he could get the image of him with the artist, but then the actual crew that's delivering the videos or even shooting in the city, dudes like me that like, you know, like we have had some big work, but really right now, like we're not popping. Like I'm not afraid to admit it because it doesn't matter if you're popping or not. It's a matter of what work you've done and can you manage to keep that longevity without it being a bunch of different clout maneuvers after clout maneuvers.
That's facts, man. And I know we do have like a little bit of like time left, so I'm gonna like get on this like briefly too. So, you know, being credited on No Jumper, Worldstar, Six Buzz, like all over, and like even from your first video until now, do you feel like you've grown as creative and that you've came like a long way in that sense?
Yeah, I think if I were to look at myself when I was in grade 8 and I was first really shooting, not knowing where shit would get me, even prior to even being on set with Riff Raff, like the year or two before that, I was at his concert at Danforth Music Hall, listening and jumping around to his music like a fan, and I could say like there was a lot of stuff that I didn't think I would be able to do that I've accomplished within like a decade, and it's stuff that I've always wanted to do. Like it's stuff that I never thought I would have the opportunity to really do, even if it was like meeting Riff Raff, even as a fan. Like if you get to meet an artist that you genuinely liked and to actually work on set with him, like for multiple videos, because we did 5 videos for Riff Raff and 2 tours with him. And I got to drive him around pretty much both of those tours. Like he was in my vehicle. We were smoking and passing like joints to each other and shit. And meeting people like him and meeting people along that journey is what lit the fire in my ass to continue. And all I could say is like, it's just a blessing that right now I'm even able to talk about this with you and even just like be moving on to that next phase while simultaneously looking back at what I've done and kind of like helping who I can out within that.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And, you know, for someone that wants to be in your position, like in that sense too, like what would be like some great advice that you would give to any like aspiring like videographer, director, someone that wants to get like in the film game and all that, you know?
If someone wants to get into the film game, just be true to yourself, be true to what your vision is. And obviously compromising will have to happen, especially if you're trying to get a certain video or whatever done or concept. But again, as long as you stay true to yourself and you're honest and you're communicating, because communicating is something I lacked in, that I had to learn to really improve on, communicating with artists, communicating with the team, and just even communicating with yourself on if you even understand what type of idea you want to do. Do that, have fun with it. Right now, we live in an age different than how it was when I first started. We didn't have stabilizers. We didn't have all these we had effects software, but it's not at the level where it's at now. You guys really have, this new generation really has the chance to shine and show their ability with this new AI, with all this new stuff happening. I've been seeing these young 18-year-old directors, even some as young as 16, editing for fucking huge artists, doing 3D stuff that would put everything I've done to shame. Everything that I could even say. I can't speak for Raziel. I don't know what the fuck he has in the vault. I might say, oh, these new guys could put his shit to shame, but he's going to drop a video in 2 weeks that's going to make me go, no, I probably shouldn't have said that. But there's a lot of good new guys coming out. Just keep your heart in it. Be honest. Look out for the snakes in the grass. Not everybody's out there for your best intentions, but within finding and walking through that crowd, you're going to meet some people that will change your life, that will help you become a better version of yourself. And you'll be able to just do things that you've always wanted to do.
Yeah. Because I know Tiny Tapes, who's like a rising like videographer in the Toronto underground scene. He's like doing like work with like Cash Dami, Tana, like a whole lot.
I'm so jealous because this leads into artists that I genuinely like that I never got a chance to work with. So EB Bands and Jack Harlow. I went to Jack Harlow's show when he first came to the city at Velvet Underground. It was a snowstorm. Only 50 people went. I had a chance to fucking shoot a music video for him. Tiny, I love BLP Kosher. He's one of like, I think in terms of rappers now, he's one of my favorite rappers. I've been trying to do a video. And this leads into how Tiny Tapes is leading the new generation. He's been putting out tutorials. He's been very active in the Discords with all these different directors and creatives. So he's been able to work and also working alongside with Orazio for his top projects as well. They've managed to find a way to work with this new generation of directors and artists and just really pop. And I'd say Tiny Tapes went from being, when I first started watching him, like just like I'm not gonna say kid. Like him and I are in our 20s. But like he's younger than me, so I'm gonna say kid. But I've been seeing him just kind of just do his thing, put out his tutorials, go out on set and just shoot, get to learn from Orazio and all the other guys that he surrounded himself with. And he's became a powerhouse. He's releasing effect packs now. He's created a brand for himself, but he has that online brand that YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers do, which I think is good. That's because every outlet helps, and that's another outlet. If you can't find videos, man, the internet. If you're able to do what Tiny Tapes did, where he's able to work with videographers and promote his own product and help out the next gen, releasing tutorials, he's on the right path.
All right.
A lot of these new guys I've been seeing coming out is on the right path.
All right, that's facts, man. And do you have any other plans for like the rest of the year and all that in terms of creative projects and so forth? And do you have any like closing remarks and all that?
So I do. So as far as creative projects, we have, I'm not sure if you guys know the Uncharted movie. They have a sequel coming out, and I'm not a part of that in any way, but we have an Uncharted short film with my good friend, Chris Zubaniotis. He's obviously Greek, and he's in a band as a drummer. He's been him and I have been discussing a lot, getting that short film done. And a lot of these short films get promoted by Naughty Dog Entertainment. He looks like Nathan Drake, so we got that. Plus, I've been meeting up with a lot of old friends in the film industry who I've talked to who are now actual producers that can fund projects. And I have a very big project coming that I've been hinting towards on my story. It's basically like an ancient Greek horror film. And pretty much I'm wrapping up the script and screenplay for that because I have some meetings for budgets to discuss. So pretty much just that and music videos and tutorials and weddings, like pretty much finalizing all the stuff I can on the side so I can now tackle and see if I can get these short films bussing.
For sure. And like no regrets in anything else, like in life and all that?
No, even during the worst moments of my video stuff, everything was a learning experience. Everything made me realize what shit really is, and in the end it all helped me kind of like hone my skills in a bit more and become the director I want to become, or the videographer, whatever. And in the end, I guess, yeah, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to meet the people I've met, to work alongside some great fucking artists. Even if I stop shooting videos, like if yesterday I decided to retire, I would say I'm very proud that I got to work with artists I wanted to work. I got to meet people I wanted to meet. And I've made pieces of work that may have inspired the next generation to start working and doing what I started to do, or what we all are trying to do.
That's facts, man. And ApostolosFilms, it was dope having you on, man. Dope having you on for like this like full length like podcast interview thing and all that. Like I know I had like a lot of like other topics to kind of discuss too, but like I think timing was like just like a thing too, just to wrap it up for like like the good 90 minutes and all that. But we'll definitely have you back on to tackle on those and to even speak more and all that too, because I think like there's like too much to discuss and all that, and like I think it's like real and all that, and like I appreciate what you're doing with the scene and all that, with the industries, and like growing as a videographer, director, producer, and I hope to see that rise, so either way,
I appreciate you as well. Again, like I said, I've been on a lot of podcasts, but like this has been like a proper podcast where you've done your research, and I feel like very honored to be on here. And again, like if you guys want to go, you guys already know who to go to. If you guys want a podcast interview, you gotta fucking hit up Josh Yashu and just get it done. Also, his homie in the back killing it as well. Everybody's doing their part, and thank you again, man. I really do appreciate it, and we're gonna get on a part 2.
Yeah, 100%. For sure, man. And this is Josh, also known as Yashu, of another episode of TLOY Talks. You can get this on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, much more. Patreon as well too. Definitely tap in with that link as well too. And like, this is Josh, also known as Yashu, with Dimitri The Shooter, also known as ApostolosFilms and all that. Signing off,
Woman, perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't ramble. I can literally ramble like as
Yeah.
much, but no, definitely one person who would bring the energy, Screwface, if he, because he doesn't give a fuck.